You are not stuck. You're just comfortable. And comfort is a slow death, silent, seductive, and deadly. Every single day, life gives you a choice: evolve or repeat. And most people, they choose repeat. Same thoughts, same actions, same regrets. But you, if you're listening right now, something in you is hungry. Something in you refuses to settle. That fire. Feed it. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud: you don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. You want to change your life? Then start here. As action is louder than intention. As every single person has a dream. Everyone wants something more freedom, more success, more confidence, more meaning. And yet, the world is filled with people who never move. They talk about what they others would do, what they could do, what they should have done. And year after year, they stay exactly where they are. Why? Because they confuse thinking with doing. They mistake planning for progress. But let's be real. Ideas don't build empires. Actions do. You can't wish your way into greatness. You have to work your way there, one deliberate, daily step at a time. Intentions are comfortable. They sound good. They give us a temporary sense of control. Like we're doing something just by talking about doing something. You say you're going to start working out. You say you're going to write that book, launch that business, heal from that pain, walk away from that toxic situation. But saying it doesn't move the needle. Action does. You don't grow by as wanting to change. You grow by as doing what change demands. And here's the raw truth: most people don't act because action is messy. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to face the possibility of failure, embarrassment, and judgment. But those who win, they move anyway. In fear, in doubt, in chaos. They act not because they're ready, but because they refuse to stay the same. This is where most people get it wrong. They wait. They wait for the mood to strike, the conditions to be perfect, the stars to align. But life doesn't reward the ones who wait. It rewards the ones who move, especially when they don't feel like it. You think successful people are motivated every day. They're not. They just act. They've trained themselves to stop making emotion-based decisions. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a muscle. And that muscle gets built every time you push through resistance. That's what separates the average from the unstoppable. S. The ability to act without needing to feel like it. S. Because if you only move when it's easy, you'll stay weak. But if you move when it's hard, you'll become powerful. You want to transform your body, your career, your mindset, then act like it. Show me your actions, and I'll tell you your future. Don't just talk about waking up early. Set the alarm and get up. Don't just write out affirmations. Live them. Don't just dream. Build. Even the smallest step forward has more power than the biggest plan left untouched. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be in motion. People overthink themselves into paralysis. They wait for the perfect strategy, the perfect timing, the perfect skill set. But here's the truth: clarity comes from action, not before it. You figure it out as you go. You grow as you move. But if you stand still, you stay stuck. Every person you admire, every leader, every creator, every athlete, every visionary, they all have one thing in common: they didn't wait. They started, often unprepared, often uncertain, often scared out of their mind. But they acted, and then they acted again. And again, that consistency, that relentless movement, it compounds. Momentum builds. Opportunities appear, skills sharpen, identity shifts. Suddenly, you become the kind of person who does instead of dreams. The kind of person who executes instead of explains. And that version of you, that version becomes unstoppable, not because they never fail, but because they never stop moving. So ask yourself right now, what have I been putting off? What do I keep saying I'll do someday? That thing, do it. Take the first step, no matter how small. Build a bias toward action. Stop overthinking. Stop seeking permission. Start doing. You want confidence. It's not found in books or podcasts. It's earned through movement. Every time you act, you build trust in yourself. Every time you follow through, you prove to your mind that your words mean something. That's where real power comes from. Not from talking about who you could be, but from becoming someone through what you consistently do. Because in the end, the world doesn't respond to your hopes. It responds to your habits. You say you want to be mentally strong. You say you want to be unshakable, resilient, the kind of person who doesn't crumble when life gets hard. Then understand this. Is mental strength isn't built when it's easy. It's built when it's hard. It's forged in fire. It's developed in the moments you want to quit, but don't. In the seconds where your mind screams, no more. And you whisper back, I'm not done yet. That's where the power lives. That's where the breakthrough begins. You don't grow by avoiding discomfort. You grow by walking directly into it and refusing to bow down. Showing up when it's hard is what separates the committed from the curious. Everyone's motivated when it's exciting. Everyone's disciplined when it's convenient. But when it's cold, when it's dark, when you're exhausted, and no one is watching, that's where you meet the real version of yourself. That's the moment that defines who you are. And most people run from it. They retreat when things get heavy. They say things like, I'll get back on track next week. But winners, they show up broken. They show up imperfect. They show up anyway. Because they understand this simple truth. Consistency in chaos builds character. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. Even when every part of you wants to disappear, this is the part no one glamorizes. The unfiltered, unseen hours. The early mornings when your bed feels like a trap. The gym sessions when your body feels too sore to move. The work you do when your mind tells you, take it easy. These aren't just tasks. They're training. They're the quiet, invisible moments where grit is developed, where tenacity is built. You don't just wake up mentally strong. You become that person by pushing through what others run from. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. You're not here to be part of the crowd. You're here to outlast it. Think about the strongest people you know, the ones who seem unbreakable, the ones who radiate calm in chaos, strength in pressure. They weren't born that way. They've earned that energy. They chose to face hard days with discipline. They chose to show up when life punched them in the face. And that choice wasn't made once. It was made daily. Strength is not a gift. It's a pattern, a practice, a refusal to let weakness become a lifestyle. If you keep backing down when it's hard, you train your mind to surrender. But if you keep showing up when it hurts, you train your mind to fight. You will be tested. Life is going to hit you where it hurts. People will doubt you. Circumstances will challenge you. Your own mind will turn against you. And in those moments, you will have one job: show up anyway. As not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because you promised yourself you would. Because you've decided that quitting is not on the menu. It's in these exact moments, when nothing feels good, when progress seems invisible, that real transformation takes place. The difference between staying average And becoming elite is built on what you choose to do when you don't feel like doing anything at all. There's a version of you that's stronger than the one standing here now, more focused, more grounded, more powerful. But you don't get to meet that version by staying comfortable. You meet that version by showing up, tired, unsure, overwhelmed, and doing the work anyway. Because that's what strength is. It's not about pretending to have it all together. It's about staying in the fight, even when your legs are shaking. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you level up. You harden. You sharpen. And slowly, silently, you become someone the old you wouldn't even recognize. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Stop negotiating with your goals. Stop debating with yourself over things that should already be non-negotiable. You said you want to grow. You said you want success. You said you want to evolve into the best version of yourself. Then why are you still reasoning with your weaknesses? Why are you still making deals with your distractions? Goals don't care about your mood. They don't care about how tired you are, how discouraged you feel, or what excuses your mind is feeding you today. The only thing that matters is whether or not you follow through. Because if you have to convince yourself to do what you do important, then you haven't committed. You're still halfway in. And halfway in gets you nothing. Discipline starts when the debate ends. As long as you're negotiating with yourself, you'll lose. You'll talk yourself out of workouts. You'll talk yourself into sleeping in. You'll delay that project, that conversation, that dream. One day at a time, until it's dead. You don't need more time. You don't need more energy. You need more decisions. Solid, non-negotiable decisions. Decisions that don't leave room for bargaining. Because once you've truly decided, the conversation is over. It's no longer, should I do this today? It's, I'm doing this. Period. That mindset shift changes everything. It's how you go from inconsistent to unstoppable. From trying to committed. From wishing to executing. You've been trained by this culture to believe that if something doesn't feel good, you should pause. But the truth is, feelings are unreliable. They fluctuate. They lie. And if you keep allowing them to steer your behavior, your life will always be driven by impulse and convenience, not purpose. You want real progress? Then make your actions sacred. Don't leave them open to discussion. Wake up and move before your mind starts whining. Show up and work before your excuses get a vote. That's how you build momentum. That's how you break cycles. Your goals deserve respect. And respect means showing up whether you feel like it or not. Look around. You'll see people who had dreams just like yours. But they gave themselves too many outs. They said, I'll start tomorrow. They said, I'm too tired today. They told themselves they'd get serious when things settled down. But here's the truth: life never settles down. There will always be chaos. There will always be distractions, stress, and reasons to quit. But champions don't need perfect conditions. They move through the storm. They work through the pain. They refuse to let their goals be optional. That kind of commitment, the one that doesn't waver with the weather, is what builds empires. You can't want a powerful life and keep making powerless choices. You can't expect transformation if you're still arguing with yourself about whether to show up. The results you crave live on the other side of discipline. And that discipline comes from clarity, deciding once and for all that there is no plan B. There is no back door. You burn the bridge. You commit like your future depends on it. Because it does. You're either doing the work or you're not. You're either in integrity with your goals or you're betraying them. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you chip away at your confidence. But every time you follow through, you build a reputation with yourself, and that's the foundation of unstoppable self-belief. So start honoring the commitments you made to yourself. No more later. No more, maybe. No more waiting to feel ready. Let this be the moment where you draw the line and say, I don't negotiate with my goals. Not because it's trendy, not because it's inspiring, but because it's who you are now. The kind of person who doesn't fold under pressure. The kind of person who doesn't compromise with laziness. The kind of person who executes. Because once that becomes your identity, once follow-through becomes your standard, everything around you begins to shift. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Master the boring. That's where the real transformation begins. Everyone wants success, but most people are allergic to repetition. They want fireworks, not fundamentals. They want something new every week, every day, every hour. But greatness doesn't live in novelty. It lives in the discipline of doing the same small things over and over again, long after the excitement has worn off. The most elite people in the world, the ones who build empires, lead movements, dominate their craft. They're not chasing excitement. They've mastered the mundane. They've committed to the ordinary rituals that produce extraordinary results. Because they understand something most people never learn of boring builds. There's a dangerous myth out there that success is about breakthroughs. One big idea, one massive leap, one lucky moment. But that's not real. The truth. Success is a build-up of consistent, often boring actions. Waking up early when no one's watching. Repeating your routines when no one's clapping. Studying your craft when everyone else is scrolling. Tracking the details that others ignore. These things don't feel glamorous. They don't give you instant rewards. But they stack. They build momentum. And over time, they separate the serious from the curious. While the world is chasing hacks and shortcuts, the real winners are just outworking them. Slowly, silently, daily. Discipline means showing up and doing the work, even when there's nothing exciting happening. Especially when there's nothing exciting happening. It's in those quiet, uneventful stretches that your character is forged. That's where your resilience is tested. Can you stay focused when progress is invisible? Can you stay consistent when the hype dies? Most people can't. They need stimulation. They need constant feedback. But if you can detach from needing the rush and embrace the routine, you become unstoppable. Because your performance is no longer tied to your mood. It's tied to your mission. And missions aren't fueled by hype. They're powered by habits. Repetition isn't the enemy. It's the path. Every time you repeat a task, you deepen mastery. You train your body. You train your mind. You remove hesitation, reduce resistance, and reinforce excellence. Think of an athlete, a musician, a surgeon. They don't become world-class by chasing variety. They become elite through relentless practice. Through drilling the basics until it becomes second nature. That kind of repetition rewires your brain, sharpens your instincts, and hardens your will. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. But it works. Mastery is hidden in monotony. And the people who fall in love with the process are the ones who rise above the rest. Let's be real. There will be days when you're tired. When the routine feels pointless. When the grind feels heavy. That's when most people quit. They confuse boredom with burnout. But if you lean in, if you push through that resistance, You unlock a new level. You realize that boredom is just your mind testing you, asking, how bad do you want this? And if your answer is strong enough, if your purpose is real enough, you'll keep going. You'll do the workout. You'll read the book. You'll execute the plan. Not because it's thrilling, but because it's required. Because it's who you are now. Someone who doesn't need the hype. Someone who shows up regardless. So stop chasing shiny distractions and start building unshakable systems. The future you want doesn't need more excitement. It needs more consistency. It needs you to wake up, lock in, and do the work, especially when it's not fun. Because the truth is, the people who master the boring are the ones who make the impossible look easy. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on execution. They don't need motivation. They have momentum. And that momentum is built one boring, disciplined, focused day at a time. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you rise. That's how you become someone the old you would never believe possible. Compete with your former self. Because that's the only competition that truly matters. The world wants to pull your focus in 1,000 directions. It wants you looking left and right, constantly measuring your worth against someone else's highlight reel. You scroll through social media and see people with bigger wins, fancier lifestyles, more polished images. And without realizing it, you begin to shrink. You start doubting yourself. You start thinking you're behind. But what if you looked in the mirror instead? What if the only question that mattered was, am I better than I was yesterday? Because real growth isn't loud. It's personal. It's internal. It's measured in quiet victories and private evolution. Comparison is a thief. It steals your peace, your focus, and your power. When you're busy watching others, you stop watering your own garden. You start copying their path instead of carving your own. But your journey isn't supposed to look like theirs. You have your own lessons to learn, your own strengths to develop, your own timing to honor. The only person who has lived your pain, your struggle, your fight is you. So why would you ever use someone else's timeline to measure your progress? You don't need to outshine them. You need to outgrow the old version of yourself. That's where your strength is. That's where your freedom begins. Think back to who you were a year ago, the doubts you had, the fears that used to paralyze you, the mistakes that taught you lessons the hard way. Now look at you. Maybe you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be either. And that matters. That's growth. That's evidence. Progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it looks like making a better decision. Speaking up when you used to stay silent. Choosing discipline when you used to choose excuses. Those moments are proof that you're evolving. Don't ignore them. Don't downplay them. Just honor them. Because every small upgrade compounds into something powerful over time. There is no finish line in personal growth. There is no point where you arrive and stop. There is always another level, another layer, another challenge that reveals more of who you're meant to be. And the beauty of it is, it never ends. That means you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be progressing. You don't have to fix everything overnight. You just have to keep moving. That's what competing with your former self is all about. You're not racing anyone. You're building a life of purpose, one decision at a time. And every time you choose growth over comfort, you're winning. But here's the thing. Competing with your old self isn't just about chasing goals. It's about healing. It's about rewriting your internal narrative. It's about looking at the parts of you that used to settle, self-sabotage, or stay silent, and choosing differently. It's about becoming more honest, more self-aware, more in control, and that kind of growth, it takes courage. Because it means facing your truth without filters. It means admitting where you've been falling short, not to beat yourself up, but to break free. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's about being real with yourself. Because you can't transform what you won't confront. So stop obsessing over what they're doing, how fast they're growing, or how far ahead they seem. None of that matters. What matters is you, your mindset, your work ethic, your ability to show up one more time when the old you would have quit. That's your metric. That's your scoreboard. Growth isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. And every time you look back and see how far you've come, you gain clarity. You gain momentum. You remember that it was never about competing with anyone else. It was always about rising above the version of yourself that kept you small. And you're doing that now, one choice at a time. Build identity, not just habits. That's the real foundation of lasting transformation. Too many people focus only on behavior, on what they need to do, wake up early, go to the gym, read more, eat clean. And yes, those habits matter, but they're surface level unless they're rooted in something deeper. Ask who you believe you are. Because if your actions are constantly battling against your identity, you will eventually break. You'll quit. You'll self-sabotage. Why? Because your mind will always pull you back to what you believe is true. Real change doesn't stick until your identity changes first. You don't just need new habits. You need to become someone who naturally lives those habits. This is where most people fail. They try to act disciplined without seeing themselves as a disciplined person. They try to chase goals while secretly believing they're not good enough to achieve them. So the progress is always temporary. The diet lasts 2 weeks. The journaling stops after a month. The motivation fades and they slide back into the old version of themselves. But when you shift your identity, when you start seeing yourself as someone who's consistent, resilient, powerful, you stop trying to act the part and start being the part. Your habits flow from your identity. And when you embody the identity of a focused, driven person, the actions that used to feel forced become automatic. Identity isn't something you're born with. It's something you build every single day with every choice you make. When you get up early, even when it's hard, you reinforce the belief that you are disciplined. When you speak up in the meeting, even though you're nervous, you reinforce the belief that you are confident. Every small win is a vote for the person you want to become. But here's the key, it works both ways. Every time you hit snooze, skip the workout, or break a promise to yourself, you're also casting a vote. That's why the small decisions matter so much. You're not just building habits. You're building a reputation with yourself. And that reputation becomes your reality. Think about someone you admire, someone who shows up consistently, who executes, who seems unshakable in their purpose. They're not forcing themselves to act that way. They've become that kind of person. And you can too. It starts with language. Stop saying, I'm trying to be better. Say, this is who I am now. Declare it. Claim it. Even before the results show up. Because identity isn't something you earn. It's something you adopt and then reinforce. The more you say it, the more you believe it. And the more you believe it, the more your behavior begins to align. It's a cycle of transformation that begins with a decision. If you want to level up your life, stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, who do I need to become? That question will guide everything. Want to be fit? Then become someone who doesn't miss workouts. Not someone who just tries to get to the gym. Want to build a business? Then become someone who creates daily, solves problems, leads with purpose. Want peace? Then become someone who sets boundaries, protects their energy, and lives with clarity. Once the identity is in place, the behavior follows. Because now, you're not fighting to force change. You're simply living in alignment with who you already believe you are. Here's the truth that most people miss. Transformation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be. The disciplined version, the focused version, the powerful version that's been buried under years of fear, doubt, and distraction. You don't need to find that person. You need to uncover them. Peel back the layers of lies you've told yourself. Remove the limits that were never yours to begin with. And step fully into the identity that matches your vision. Not someday, now. Because when you change the story you tell yourself, you change the life you build. And that story begins with 6 words. I am the kind of person who. Say it. Live it. And watch everything else fall into place. So now it's on you. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more living as a fraction of who you were born to be. You've got the tools, the truth and the fire. Now move. Start acting like the person you say you want to become. As act daily. Improve daily. And let every decision from this moment forward be a declaration of who you truly are. Because the life you're chasing isn't out there somewhere. It's built in the choices you make today. Now go make them count.